It's time again for Shasta College football. It's nighttime. All right, welcome to our first nighttime of the season. Aaron Williams here with Coach Brian Hamilton of the Shasta Knights. Coach, it's a new season. Last year, probably didn't go as you expected, 4-6. But the beauty of a brand new season is that you've got a fresh canvas on which to paint. And after watching some practices, you've got a lot of color with which to choose, right?
Yeah, we like our lineup, and last year was a year where, we started off well in the season and then kind of faded down the end and lost a couple of one-pointers that were tough, and so it did leave a hungry feeling, in us, and we worked hard in the offseason. The staff did a great job of recruiting talented guys that not only are talented, but we feel like fit our culture of just good people, want to go to school, want to be good for community, and great football players. So we're excited about it. You're young, we're young at some spots, so you don't know how that's going to work out until exactly you get on the field on Saturday, but we've had some flashes of being pretty good in camp here, and we've also had some flashes of areas we need some growth in. So we're looking forward to seeing what we got on Saturday and against a good Reedley team.
Speaking of Saturday 6 p.m. against Reedley. Nice to open at home, and we've always talked about, kind of the atmosphere at Memorial Stadium. 6 p.m. It's going to be hot, but it's probably not going to be hot as if you had to travel on the road and play somewhere in the Central Valley at 2 p.m. But it's got to be nice to open at home, right?
Oh, it's always great to play here. Our fans are great. Memorial Stadium, it's not the most recently built stadium that we're going to play in our conference and things like that, but I do believe it's the greatest setting. There's no track around it. It's strictly football. Fans are right on top of you, so they can, call me names and I can hear it. But it's just a great setting. So yeah, playing at home is awesome. 6 o'clock will be warm, but we were out there tonight, from 4 to 6:30, and the shade came in and about 5:15, 5:30, and so I think by kickoff time 6 o'clock, it's going to be a nice evening in there.
Yeah, and the grass looks phenomenal. It's going to be a good night of football, right?
Absolutely.
We'll jump around here, but let's talk about your green shirts. Practice the defensive guys wear the green shirts. You've got some pieces there, and we were talking before we came on the podcast, and today's Wednesday when we're taping, and those guys were flying around, and you expect big things out of the guys on defense, don't you?
Yeah, we need to be good on defense to be competitive and to win, to win the games we need to win and to take this team where it needs to go. And I like our group there, led by Anthony Slayton, the returning all-conference, young man at linebacker. Our defensive backs are seasoned; they've been around. They're good athletic guys. Up front, we've got Bladen Stanky, a local guy back. Braden Rohde from Oregon, all-state player up there. Johnny Jones inside. Marcus Presley inside, bringing some great size. So we're excited about those groups. That group. We played or scrimmaged at Southern Oregon University, about 10 days ago, and that group had flashes of being really good, and then flashes of showing our youth and everything. So. For us to be competitive and stuff, the green shirts, the defense, got to do a great job. They've been really taking it to us in the offense the last couple of days, so that's reassuring for the head coach to know that the defense is ready to play.
Talk a little bit about a couple of those guys. You mentioned Slayton and Stanky. You got Noah Benson back in the secondary. Are you looking on those guys? Some of them are a couple year guys with the COVID year. Yeah. Are you looking at those guys to kind of be that tone setter?
Yeah, those guys have been through it. C.J. Williams at our corner, Rajon. Those guys are good, and they're older, and they've got great cohesiveness together. Coach Cavalli and Coach Gilbert. Coach Cavalli being the defensive coordinator, Coach Gilbert being the defensive back coach. Those guys bring a lot of energy to that group. So for us to play well on defense, the back end of the defense can't give up big plays. They got to fly around. They've got to lock down some really good receivers. We're going to see some good receivers this week against Reedley. But we expect big things from them. We don't have rookies there, so it will be disappointing if we don't play like second-year mature guys.
And that was one of the things last year that at times you guys looked dynamite in that back end, that secondary, and there was times when you gave up big plays and it turned out to hurt, right?
Absolutely, and that's the thing too. I mean, we've been preaching that all camp, is that you can't play 3 out of 4 downs well, and then the fourth one be a touchdown. And we did let one of those get behind us at Southern Oregon, so it was good reinforcement that those are continual things we need to make sure we're harping on as coaches, focusing on as players. We've done a much better job over the last, I'd say, 5-6 practices, but it's a continually point of focus, for our defense. If we can keep away from that, and I think, not to prolong it, but I think the reason some of those things happen is because those guys are really, really good athletically, and they think they can do a lot. They know they can cover a lot of the field. And so sometimes when a play breaks down, gets off schedule, those guys are just trying to make a play, and then the coverage breaks down. And it's not because they're not talented, it's because they're over-talented, and they're trying to play 3 different spots. And so we just got to tell them, do your job. Do your job, trust your teammate, and trust the scheme. And if they do that, I feel like that can be one of the best groups that we've had here.
Yeah, one of the hardest things in football is playing cornerback or safety, correct?
Yeah, for sure. No question about it. Those guys got a lot to do, and everybody is looking. I don't care what level you're playing at. I mean, NFL, you can see that everybody's looking for a lockdown corners and guys that can take away half the field, and then also that safety that can play both over the top and get down to the run fit. So, I mean, those are prized possessions, and we feel like we have some good ones. We'll find out how that plays out on Saturday as far as the start of the year.
Talk a little bit about Anthony Slayton. He's gotten some preseason kind of looks and notice. You guys have had some good linebackers coming through here in recent years. How does he stack up with some of the guys before him, and what does he have around him in the middle there?
He's a young man that was one of the top tacklers in the state last year. He was in the top 10, I believe, top 5 actually. And he's just a very instinctual player. Like, he just does things right. He's in the right spots. He reads things very quickly, and a lot of that is just him, just his instincts. Sometimes you either have that or you don't.
Can't teach it, right?
Yeah, it's just you kind of know where the ball's going to go. But he's a student as well. He understands the schemes. He understands what they're trying to do. He's put on some weight this year because he was a little underweight last year. Put on some weight. He had a total ACL in a Sequoia's game, the last game of the season last year, which, to get back now to be full speed, the first game of the season start, after that was week 11 because it was it was an extra game, or extra week. That's a short recovery time, and for him to come back, I've been just completely amazed that he's 100%, and there's no mental or physical kind of hesitation from him. So he's great. We need him to be great. We need him to be healthy. We need him to have a good season for us. We're just a much different defense when he's on the field. Aiden Alsop, another guy that's been around a while. He redshirted his first year, played last year. He's back again. He's a starter last year for us. He really is an intelligent, physical football player too. So those two guys are really, as far as our enforcing unit, the keys in our engine to go, and we need them to stay healthy. We need them to have big years.
Yeah, and finally you mentioned Bladen Staking. I remember when I was coaching at Shasta High, I remember Bladen coming through the program, and you knew back then that he had kind of that it and something special, and seeing him out there in practice, he's still got it, and he's grown into a man.
Yeah, he's put on some size, and he's also very quick, and it's just a matter of, for him, I think, to make that next step, which he's very capable of doing, is just being consistent on every play. And he's done a great job of that in camp. So I'm excited to see the progress of him as a player, because physically and the preparation he's put in has really looked like it's paying off. He's got all the tools. Again, we need him to be a great player. Also, we love all our guys, but to have a guy from our backyard go in and from Shasta High School and be successful and play well is also special for us. So, we're big Bladen fans, and he needs to have a big year for us.
And as good as your defense can be, you're still going to need to score some points. You can't win a 0-0 game if you hold them to no points. Talk about the offense, and for me, a couple of things. First of all, the offensive line last year I thought was, not one of the weaker spots, but one of the weaker spots. You had some serviceable backs, which you do have again this year. Talk a little bit about the offensive line and then the runners you got coming back, because you got a stable.
Yeah, last year too, we started off this season and we were one of the top rushing teams in the country. Tyler Boston and Jaden Gordon back there. Tyler was leading the 3CAA in rushing for a while, and some things went sideways. We lost some guys, and we weren't as deep there, I felt. So by the end of the year, when we'd kind of worn out and stuff, we were a little different up front as far as our physicality and things. So this year in our recruiting, we wanted to provide more depth, more size. We feel really good about that. We've added some guys. Shiloh on the right tackle from Eureka High School. Big player. We like him a lot. We've got Casey Comerford back after a knee injury COVID year. So he's back, starting to left tackle for us. And we've got some players that we feel Ben Trader's back as well. We're big there. We feel like our size is good, and then we have some depth as well. Coach Lewis is doing a heck of a job with those guys. But we are kind of young, and that front, those front five guys, they're really the key to success on offense. Like, you can be great in the passing game, but if you can't protect, it doesn't matter. You can be, you can have great running backs, but if you can't move people, it doesn't matter. So, and we ask our O-linemen to not just be run guys and not just be pass guys, but be multiple ability guys. So, there's days in practice where we look phenomenal right now, and there's days in practice that we know we got a lot of work to do. And those poor guys, even though I think we have 17, 18 O-linemen on the roster, but we're getting game guys ready right now. And, it's been 110 out, and those guys are 310-pound guys. And they're not, in a game, you get 5, 6, 7, 8 reps in a row. Very rarely does a drive go over 10 plays. And then they go over and sit down, they get water, and they cool off, and they recharge their batteries, and then they come out and they do it again. That's not the way it works in practice. In practice, they hit the sled, then they go over and they do one-on-ones, then they go over and they do pass pro, then they go to the team periods. And by the time, we're actually competing against the defense, the offense is, those guys have, they're 3 games into it in reps in 110. And it's just,
Yeah, but you gotta hope that addition pays dividends down the road, right?
It's for sure, but I feel sorry for them big ones sometimes. So I'm going to be curious and really excited to see what happens when we can go out for one drive or whatever and then get a break and get fresh, and see what kind of batteries we have and see what kind of tenacity we have in that kind of setting.
It does, the old football cliche that it all starts up front. When you're able to move guys, you have a stable full of running backs that are able to go gallop, right? Talk a little bit about those guys.
Yeah, I really like, I'll talk about our returners first. The guys that played last year for us, Miles Wilson. He came on late in the year last year from Oregon, Portland area. He's a really strong physical back. His brother Nathaniel plays fullback for us and running back. And so he's a returner. Nathaniel started for us last year at H-back, and he's a really good football player, physical and smart, and does a really good job. Holden Gilbert's back as well. He didn't have a major role last year because of the backs we did have that were sophomores, but he's really had a great offseason. Of course, he won the North State Heisman from West Valley High School, so he's a heck of a football player. And then, the new guy in the stable there that is probably maybe had the best camp and been the most electric guy as far as running has been Eli Cortines at Enterprise. And he's a special young man as well. So, we've got a couple Portland guys that are brothers that are good. We've got a couple local guys, Eli Cortines and Holden Gilbert. And those are our guys going into game one. We feel like we need to really lean on, and hopefully that group of backs is going to be, the whole group of them, solid throughout the entire season. Yeah,
it's interesting. I remember the Wilsons from last year. One of them scored the only touchdown against Butte to keep you guys from getting shut out against your rival, which is always a good thing. And then you've got Holden Gilbert, who I thought carried that West Valley team his senior season, and then you have Cortines, who on a not very good Enterprise team was just really a workhorse. So you've got guys that kind of love to run and love to get hit and love to lay the punishment.
I think we're physical there, and I think we're not huge like last year. Jaden Gordon, big, tall, big kid, and years past we've had big back. But all those kids that we mentioned, pound for pound, the 4 we have now that are probably the strongest guys on our team. They all can move. They all bring a little different type of expertise as far as what their niche is, but we like them a lot. And I think Eli Cortinas will get the start, but we'll rotate through those guys, and all of them. Hopefully, we'll keep them fresh. It's a long season. We need them all to be there at the end.
And if you're able to establish that run, that opens up the passing game. You've got, again, a stable of wide receivers, guys that are coming back. And the quarterback spot, I think is kind of up in the air at the moment, but you've got some guys with talent there, right?
Yeah, I mean, we just comment quickly on the receivers you're talking about. We return all of our starters from last year, and we add Mark Ward, who was probably one of our most dynamic receivers last year that unfortunately had to go home, take care of some family business after game 2. So he wasn't around like, we'd hoped last year, but he knows our system, and he's back, and he's had a great fall camp.
Yeah, so those guys, Tyler Carey,
yeah.
C.J. Williams.
Cam Williams,
sorry.
Cam Williams, Trey Foster, tight end, Josiah Graham, from Eureka High School. So all those guys are back, and we expect them to be, it's, as you know, your rookie year of anything, you're trying to figure things out. Your second year, you hope as a coach and you hope as a player, it's more productive. You're wiser, kind of understand what it takes to get through the year. Nothing surprises you. You've played the best teams. You kind of know what you're getting into. Quarterback-wise, to move on to that, we've got 5 on the roster, and we'll suit 3 for the game. And, Gavin Dobson from Fall River is back. He played last year, hurt his knee against ARC, American River. But he does a great job of throwing the football and got a special arm, and he can really be dynamic that way. We have Gabe Curtis. Excuse me. We have Gabe Curtis from Salt Lake, who's a big, 6'2", 220-pound guy. Had a great high school career. He came out here in the spring, so he was able to get a lot of reps, and he has a little different dimension as well. He can sling it and run. He's a physical runner as well. And then we have Eli Wiebe, who from Red Bluff, who is nursing a hamstring, but he's getting back in the fold now too, who really does both kind of well. He runs the ball pretty well, and he throws it well, and he's a very headsy player. So those are the 3 that we will have active for the game, and we like them all, and they each bring a little different swagger. But, you're lucky if you have one good one, and we feel like we have 3.
So that's not a bad problem to have, is it?
No, it's a long season. You need depth there.
Exactly. So, Saturday, are you guys pumped? Are they ready for it?
We started our camp night August 1st, and then we went into the regular season August 8th, and we sit here on the 31st. So that's a hell of a long time. August 1st to the 31st to really do the same repetitive things every single day, and so we're focused on our game Saturday. We're focused on getting through the week of practice and getting better. But I know come game time, a lot of pent-up frustration as far as, the repetitiveness and the fatigue and stuff will be gone. It'll be focused on Reedley, and we're going to be excited to play football, and it's nice to be back in football season.
Nice to hit somebody with a different color jersey,
Absolutely,
right?
No question about it.
Saturday, 6 p.m., Memorial Stadium, Shasta Knights versus Reedley. Be out there. Coach, as always, start of the new season, I appreciate it, and we'll follow you throughout the year.
Well, man, we are excited to have ShastaCountySports.com back with us at the Knights. You guys do the best job in the North State, so we're excited to have you guys back.
You've been listening to Nighttime with Brian Hamilton. I'm Aaron Williams for Shasta County Sports. Nighttime is a Shasta County Sports production brought to you by Shasta Orthopedics.